compassionate and sympathetic people in the world. Sometimes we look at titles and they just become words on paper. So I would like to take just a moment and just say, this title here, I want you to really think about this title. The title is Women in Leadership, Toward an Ethic of Compassion and Cooperation. Ethic. Think of the word ethic. The word ethic means moral principles. So as women in leadership, we are supposed to be espousing moral principles. Compassion, that word compassion, it just has so many emotions connected to it. But basically, it means teaching people to be sympathetic of others in distress. So that's what it means to be a compassionate women leader. To teach cooperation is to teach a common effort of a group for their mutual benefit. And I'd like to say health, since I'm a health professional. We welcome you. Welcome. So with this in mind, again, sometimes our words, we read them so quickly they mean nothing to us. So if you'll just somehow keep that in mind, that we're talking here about teaching people moral values, principles to live by, and that starts in the home, and that starts mainly with the woman in the home. So at this time I would like to introduce our first esteemed speaker, and I will hold off on introducing the VIPs in the room until a little bit later and wait until everyone is seated. Our first speaker this afternoon is the Honorable Hajia Amina Namede Sambo. She is a highly educated, successful business leader and the founder of the NGO I Care Women and Youth Initiative, helping develop IT skills, finance startup businesses, deliver health care, and build HIV/AIDS awareness. Her projects have included sanitation, distributing insecticide-treated nets to families, we saw those nets in the video today, and encouraging education for girls and protection of women from violence. Wife of Nigeria's Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo, she is a mother to 6 children and has received recognition for her public service both nationally and internationally. So will you please give a warm welcome to the Honorable Amina Namadi Sambo. You may come up, please. We're going to have just a real quick change here in the order. Which is appropriate because I'll introduce one of our hosts for this event here in Malaysia. So the first speaker this evening will actually be Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Rafia Salim. She's the former director of NAM, Institute for Empowerment of Women, Malaysia. She's the president for Muslim Women's Action Society with almost 3 decades of experience in the academic and human resource fields. Dr. Rafia previously served as Assistant Secretary General for Human Resource Management at the United Nations headquarters in New York and as Vice Chancellor President of University of Malaya. The first woman to be appointed a university president in Malaysia. She needs a hand for that. And she also served as General Manager of Maybank, Assistant Governor of Malaysia's Central Bank, and as a lecturer and Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Malaya. She was awarded the Panglima Sesya Mahkota from His Majesty, and I'm going to have you pronounce His Majesty's name, please, for us, but I'm going to give it a try. The Yang di Pertuan Agam Al-Wathik Bila Tuanku Mitsan Zanal Abin di Nira Al-Markam Sultan Mahmud Al-Mukaitai Bila Saha in 2011, and I am so sorry that I tried. So at this time I would like to welcome one of the hosts of this event from the beautiful country of Malaysia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to see there are so many gentlemen at the topic where it says women in leadership. Thank you. As I've always said, women issues is not a women's issues. It's an issue of everyone, men and women. The topic that was given to me was women in leadership towards an ethic of compassion and cooperation, which is actually a huge scope. However, since I have left the non-commercial world, except for my little bit of NGO work with the Muslim Women's Action Group, I am mainly now an independent non-executive director of several multinationals in Malaysia. Therefore, I'm going to slant my talk on this leadership towards more the corporate world leadership. I'm sure the others will be dealing with more the general and the national leaders and all that. Now, is someone doing my... Next page. Can you go next page? Right. Okay, this is a classic leadership. I want to start from here, which is generally about the ability to think analytically, strategically, and creatively. And of course, in the corporate world, it is about the bottom line. Nothing else but the bottom line. Generally, other issues are rarely taken into consideration. Corporate leaders, I'm sure you all are aware, are mainly interested in finance and the financial gains, and generally these are people with finance and accounting background. Therefore, it is always about dollars and cents. However, I was discussing with one of the participants earlier that in Malaysia, though, we have a very strict provision on companies to comply with the requirements of their corporate social responsibility, which means they have to spend X dollars every year towards the development of society. And it's got to be exposed or disclosed in their general, in their report, the annual reports. So all companies in Malaysia comply with that. So I was sharing with a friend just now that I get, therefore, a lot of financial support from companies for my work. Now, the thing is though, is that enough? Will that contribute to sustainability? Now, I want to focus on Malaysia and perhaps this region. Let's just look at it. Palm oil, for example, is one of our highest export products. Now, when we are planting palm oil, do the leaders just look at the dollars and cents, the production, or there are other relating issues that has to be considered? What about the clearance of the land for the planting? What about the usage of fertilizers? What about the labor? So all these other issues are not exactly the dollars and cents. However, they will contribute to the bottom line. They will affect the bottom line because some form of land clearance, for example, costs more money. There's always shortcut to it that costs less. However, what does it do to the environment? So, now do we just cut trees for timber? There are those who say, why is the West trying to impose upon us in the developing world? They have destroyed all their jungles. Why are they telling us not to cut our timber? However, we should learn. Just because the West have made a mistake, we should not go on and make that mistake. We should learn from it. Okay? Do we just go for the cheapest labor cost? What about their welfare? What about the needs of those labor? Now, as an example, in terms of the issues that need to be looked at. Now, in the West, a few years ago, derivatives were issued, were marketed. It was like the shining star of the financial industry. And look at what happened after that. When you issue derivatives without there being any asset backing, the whole bubble burst and the whole world got into trouble. In fact, let me share with you this. We have a joke about this. And what we say is, if Lehman Brothers had been Lehman Sisters, because we women are very scared of taking unnecessary risks. And those derivatives were actually gambling in a way, So that's, but anyway, this is why we need to look at the new approach. We need to have value-based leadership. Next, please. We need to look at the softer universal human values. And I tell you, people in the corporate world calls these softer issues. Honestly, I call it fundamental issues. I still cannot get any management gurus to refer it to as fundamental issue. They still refer to it as softer issues. And once you say it's softer issues, it's soft, not important. Now it's about fairness, it's about justice, it's about preserving the environment for the future generations. Okay, can we? Now, before, IQ is the thing that is so important. But IQ is what drives Lehman Brothers. Okay? Whereas we need to balance this IQ with EQ, very much so. Emotion. There is no disgrace in emotion because it includes self-awareness, empathy and humility, teamwork and cooperation. And really the best blend, whether it's is corporate or non-corporate, is blending analytical ability with emotional strength. And guess what? Women generally are more suited and attracted to this type of thinking, or what the men generally refer to as soft stuff. But we are made of that. Now, compassion, it's about caring and empathy, qualities characteristically associated with women. Now, don't get me wrong. There are men who are very empathetic and very caring. I'm just putting to you the general concept or the general belief that it is the women who are more caring and more empathetic. It's probably because we are all, most of us, are mothers or caregivers of one kind or another. And if you have this balance between analysis and compassion, next please, then what you get is a lot of cooperation versus competition. Otherwise, it's always competition, competition, competition. One must win and the other one must lose. And that's why we don't have peace in some parts of the world because of this competition. And applies to the corporate too. It's about competition. Whereas, if we have compassion, we have care, whatever we do means we are less stressful, we create a better environment to work in. And when that happens, you get sustainability. And we all know what happened with stress. I just had recently a very young friend, 30 plus, late 30s, had a heart attack. Apparently it's stress of work, you know. Now, cooperation also supports teamwork. You don't get teamwork unless you are willing to cooperate. And I don't have to say anything about teamwork. We all know. All right? We all know that we can only succeed and succeed well and ensure sustainability if there is teamwork. And once you have teamwork, you also encourage creativity. Now, today especially, I didn't have this in my note, but when I woke up early this morning for my subuh prayers, I heard the news about the demise of the greatest man on earth in the last century, I think. You know? I mean, that's a man who actually lived on cooperation. Okay? The way he cooperated with his enemies, the way he brought peace. Okay? That's not a woman, that's a man. Okay? So honestly, compassion, cooperation is not just about women. Okay, that's as I said earlier, men are also that way. It is just because of the general belief. And it's because of this also, it's being found in a whole lot of study by McKinsey, Credit Suisse, and all these people, that having gender diversity in organization is very important. It brings a lot of value. Now, I spent 5.5 years in the United Nations. I have my UN colleague here. He's from Nairobi, but we used to work together. And I tell you, I also had to handle the peacekeepers, because we had, as in human resource, we had to deal with the rules and the supplying of manpower and all that. And we used to have a lot of disciplinary problems with the peacekeepers, all sorts. After I left, there was a change of mindset. They brought women into the peacekeeping force. And I was told by UNDP that there's a lot less problem now that the women are there. It's value added, definitely value added when women are there. Next, please. Okay. Therefore, it is we need to integrate compassion and cooperation. We need to bring in the feminine wisdom into leadership to ensure sustainability. Conclusion, great leadership begins with being a whole human being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I liked her closing statement. Great leadership begins with being a whole human being. And she's talking again about not just IQ, meaning what is your intelligence quotient, but what is your emotional quotient? How much compassion do you have? And I also agree totally that it's not just a woman's quality. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm a mother of 2 boys and 2 girls, and I can tell you that one of my boys is actually the most compassionate of any one of my children. So thank you very much for that. We're going to take a moment and we're going to see a video. I was supposed to, that my mistake in the confusion here and our late start, I forgot to have Hinshu start the video, so we'd appreciate a video real quick, and then I'm going to recognize some VIPs. Thank you.
The Global Peace Festival Foundation, GPFF, is an organization founded in 2007 and aims to bring harmony between all people, cultures, and religions. GPFF is a worldwide peace movement that is guided by the vision of establishing one family under God and bases its work on the understanding that all human beings are equally endowed with the value of human dignity by our Creator. In November of 2011, Dr. Hyun Jin Moon, chairman of the Global Peace Festival Foundation, proposed establishing Global Peace Women, GPW, at the closing ceremony of the GPFF event in Korea.
The initiative of the Global Peace Women is to empower all women of all stations of life in every single region of this globe, to encourage them, to inspire them to take part in the grand endeavor to build one family under God, one family and one life at a time.
GPW will focus its activities on elevating the social status of women, uplifting women leadership, offering capacity building, and the development and expansion of women's true nature and family values, so that they are able to freely contribute to world peace. The significant contributions of women in peacemaking and peace building are gaining more recognition in recent years. In 2011, 3 women activists in Africa and in the Middle East were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and the UN's Integrated Institution for Women officially began its work on January 1st, 2011. We will expand the role of women contributing to national development and world peace, as well as change the inhumane mentality that oppresses the social position and value of women. GPW will be at the center of this initiative. Society today, just as the roles of a father and a mother are needed in a family, the idea that we need to harmoniously engraft both male leadership and female leadership is expanding in today's society. Female leadership has the capacity to manage human relations within an organization, to find harmony among the members and generate stronger bonds. So developing women's leadership and feminine values is necessary for not only the improvement and well-being of the family unit, but also for a nation and the world. GPW will be at the forefront of improving true women's leadership. The family is the basic unit of society, and it is the school where we learn and teach peace. It is the family that nurtures the human character and leadership that will lead our future society. In the family, a woman discovers and experiences love of a daughter, sister, wife, and a mother. Love and maternity are the strength that warmly embraces and creates families and societies. The call to uplift the value of women can be understood as a progressive effort for a warmer and healthier future. Faced with today's society that is in crisis, GPW will be at the vanguard of creating a stable and comfortable future, such as the embrace of a mother, by recovering and protecting the values of family and femininity.
Women have tremendous God-given gifts and a unique role in helping this vision to take root and become a settled way of life. The patient heart of a mother, the sympathetic heart of a wife, the supporting heart of a sister, the devoted heart of a daughter, bringing humankind together into one family under God. I believe that Global Peace Women can become a significant contributor in communities and nations around the world.
GPW will contribute to world peace through strengthening women's rights and leadership, as well as restoring the value of family. A peaceful world is everyone's dream. Let us join together and go forward in this noble cause towards a happier world filled with love and harmony.
As you can see from that video, we have a great time participating in some hands-on mission projects as we travel in the world as well. So I want to encourage any women in here that aren't involved, actively involved in GPW, please get involved. We're a great group of women. And at this time, I would like to introduce a very distinguished guest who came in a few minutes ago. I would like to introduce the Nigerian ambassador to Malaysia, His Excellency Ambassador Bello Shehu Ringim. And also his lovely wife, Her Excellency Raya Shehu Ringim. Thank you so much. We're honored. At this time, I would like to have the GPW Women's Council please stand. I can't see everyone, and I have a very short list here. And rather than leave someone out, I would just like to ask the GPW, Global Peace Women's Leadership Council, to please stand at this time so that we may give you some applause. I think there's a few of us in this room. I know I'm one of them. Shinsuke, you're one. Mrs. Shandaria? Yes, could you please stand? Anyone else? This one. Would you stand, please? If there's anyone in the room, I think I saw someone come in and out in the back. So we just want to welcome, and if any of you have questions, the women that were standing would be more than happy to answer that. Also, we have Mrs. Shin Suk Kim here, and she's also one of our tireless leaders, and we thank you very much for all the hard work that GPW continues to do. I'd also like to recognize Mrs. Matsuzawa from Japan. Are you here? Thank you. And she's at the back. Thank you. I would like to introduce, let's see, is Honorable Lillian Samaniego in here? Maniego, I should say. The other session, okay. I know Eva's not here. Well, if I missed your name, oh, there's Eva. Dr. Eva Latham. You may have seen her earlier. Thank you. You were hiding back there. So, and all the women leaders from Nigeria, there's a huge, huge group of you. Would you please stand so we can recognize you? All the women leaders from Nigeria that's in the room. Appreciate you. One small announcement that came to me, this is being streamed live. So in order to get this, it's difficult to read streaming websites, but you can hashtag Global Peace 2013, or if you'd like to pass this along for live streaming, it's www.vstream.tv. It's a U. Ustream, that makes more sense. Ustream.tv /channel, and that's CHANNEL /GPC -2013. There's a hand up in the back, yes?
Or you can just direct people to globalpeace.org, and there's a link there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. For our next speaker, Miss Julia Maciel is a diplomat serving in the permanent mission of Paraguay to the United Nations in New York. She's a member of the UN's General Assembly working on issues relating to women and youth. A frequent lecturer on public policy of Paraguay and international universities, she also coordinates the Youth Exchange Program for the Rotary Club and an orthopedic bank project and numerous international humanitarian agencies. Please welcome Miss Julia Maciel.
Good afternoon to everyone. And as my colleague said, I'm really happy to see not only women, also men that honor us. First of all, I would like to, more than a presentation, what I'd like to do is to share a few things with you. I might even become emotional. So if my voice comes and goes, I hope you forgive me. I would like to thank for this opportunity. I would like to thank Dr. Hyun Jin Moon as a chair, Madam Chair of the foundation, and all of you for giving me the honor and the opportunity to share with you this afternoon. As our coordinator just mentioned, sometimes we have papers. So I'd like to start by reading what it says, what is gathering us here today. It says, Women in Leadership Toward an Ethic of Compassion and Cooperation. And I don't know how many of you already read this booklet, both sides. I took the time to read. I don't know who prepared it, but it's excellent. So if you allow me, I would like to go on and say, who are Global Peace women? Who are you? It says they are mothers, wives, sisters, daughters, grandmothers who look around them and decide to do something. They are using their talents, their abilities, their knowledge, their strength, their assets, and their creativity to find solutions where others see only problems. They include every woman of every faith, of every nation, and who wants to improve somehow the situation in our world. They work in every sector of society. I'm an architect, but now I'm a diplomat. from grassroots to national and international. I went through all those levels. Today, I am at the UN, but I know all these levels. And now I would like to quote some phrases, sentences from the message from Dr. Young Soo that really got my attention. It mentions here, as every prophet has told us, peace is the desire of God and humanity. I want you to keep that in mind. And then in another paragraph, she mentions, some people think that politics is the path to peace. Others, that it will only happen through economic growth, economic development. Still, others think and believe that education is the magic key. In Global Peace Women, we believe the path to peace is through the heart, through the faith, and through service. I wanted to share this with you because I went through all those stages. I am a product of cooperation, international cooperation. I have been very blessed to have the education that I have, thanks to the international cooperation. Through full grants, I was able to study in the States, to get a master's degree, to get a postgraduate in Europe, through full grant. If it wasn't for the generosity and the vision of certain governments and nations that pay my education, I wouldn't be able to be here or to be where I am. I also wanted to read the name of this convention and the theme. We mentioned moral and innovative leadership. What does it mean? We also mentioned unity in diversity. And I think Malaysia is the perfect place to talk about that. When we talk about leadership, moral leadership, and moral and innovative leadership, the more we get the knowledge. Here we mention about the talents, the assets, the ability, the skills. The higher is our preparation, the more we have that moral obligation to work for others. I understand that moral and innovative. Innovative because we need to use creativity. We have the moral obligation to share what we have achieved, what we have learned, our expertise, the talents that God allowed us to develop, and He is lending us to use it for our own personal and professional development, but as an instrument also for development of our neighbors, of our brothers and sisters. To build with all that knowledge, to build bridges of opportunities for the next generation. I think that is a moral obligation of any successful individual, whether it's a woman or a man. As I said, the more we are educated, the more we have the responsibility. And here I remember my father. I was the first planning minister woman in Paraguay. And I remember him saying, you know, the higher your position, God is giving you, the bigger the opportunity to serve others. The bigger the opportunity, the higher the responsibility to others. Now, life, I believe life is a matter of choice. What do I mean with this? Every day, we have choice. Even, what am I going to wear today? You have to think about it. We saw this gorgeous table, full of food. Some of them really exotic, to someone like me, for example, that I've seen something that I've never even tried, and you have the choice to choose what you're going to eat or whether you have coffee or tea every day. So for me, life is a matter of choice. And in this aspect, we have the choice to be part of the problem or of the solution. We have the choice to be part of the people that sees the problem and complain and expect others will come and solve. Or we have the choice to do something, even if we still don't know how, but to have the attitude of stop thinking and start doing, start working. It takes a change in life. What kind of a change? A change of attitude. If you think you cannot do it, you already lost the race. If you think that it's impossible, you already lost. Now, if you think that it will be difficult, you might get it. Whatever is your target. And if you think you will do it alone, you need to start thinking about having partners. Because there are certain things, such as poverty, such as conflict, some kind of conflict that we need to have partners. We need the cooperation. And here I would like to mention again the theme of this meeting, toward an ethic and of compassion and cooperation. I would like to share with you cooperation. I would like to share with you, this is the statement on September 28th, around 11:15 at the United Nations. We had the General Assembly, and my ambassador asked me to go and sit in the Paraguayan seat at the General Assembly. And I had the honor to sit all day. It was my birthday, September 28th. And I said, what a way to spend my birthday doing what I want to do. And I was so thankful. And I listened to statement and statement and statement. And I kept this statement because, and I wrote down even excellent on it. Do you know whose statement it was? It was the statement by the Honorable Moh Nahib Tun Abdul Razak, Prime Minister of Malaysia. I learned so much from his statement. I learned so much that I started to write. And there is one part that I'd like to share with you of his statement when we mention here cooperation and when we mention unity in diversity. Actually, he mentions moderation versus extremists and how we need an attitude of moderation. And he says, paragraph number 25 of his statement, it says, moderation can be practiced at the national level, as is the case in Malaysia, by choosing mutual respect and inclusivity and strengthening the bonds between different communities and faith. All countries should reinforce their commitment to the principles of moderation, not just to religions, but for sustainable development and stable economic growth. And I say, it's so true. And then I started to study more about Malaysia, and then I found out that here, actually, people from different cultures, from different faiths, try to coexist peacefully. And I think, now I understand where the moderation came from. Now, going back towards an ethic and compassion of compassion and cooperation. When we're talking about leadership, we're talking also about vocation for service. A leader is not leader by itself. Vocation of service. And here, I would like to mention one thing that my colleague already mentioned. Service, when we're talking about service, we're talking about empathy. How do we develop empathy? We need, first of all, a humble heart. A humble heart. We need, before that, to be grateful. To be grateful is to recognize the talents God has lent us. With a heart, a graceful heart, a humble heart, full of love, then service comes. And service is a style of life. A person that has developed that vocation, whether he can be in school, at home, anywhere, a person with empathy is ready to help. If you don't have that feeling, if you haven't had that grace, because as a believer, for me, that is a grace. There is, in my belief, Jesus once said, and I'm sure all the prophets, seek and you will find, ask and you will receive. So today I invite you to be the agent of change, to change our life, if some of you still haven't experienced that. And successful will come. And you won't even realize. Finally, mentioning again the moral, innovative leadership. We need leaders with compassion that understand what they have and that moral obligation, that understand that the talents that God gives us is not only for our personal and professional development, but also for the rest. We need leaders, new leaders, to produce the changes in our communities, in our societies, in order to walk forward sustainable peace, in order to work with unity in diversity. I want to leave you with these final thoughts. If you put all your heart, if you put all your mind, and if you put all your souls in what you do, I'm talking about profession, I'm talking about anything you do, because our talents are different. Everything will come out well, and you will enjoy what you do. And people will ask you, why are you always happy? Because if you like what you do, and if you enjoy what you do, things come out. Things come out. So, I hope you enjoy life, be happy, enjoy what you do. And if you haven't found the key to success, which is this, I hope you do it. And as Roosevelt would say, do what you can with what you have where you are. And Mother Teresa says, run. If you cannot run, walk. And if you cannot walk, use the stick, but never stop. Never stop. So I invite you to be the change we want to see in the world. That world begins home. That world begins home. In Spanish, we have, when we talk about love, ama a tu prójimo como a ti mismo, is I think in English is love thy neighbor as yourself. It helps. And it's easy to explain because neighbor, it talks about proximity in Spanish, but also neighbor means next. So love the next to you as yourself. The next to you could be whoever, from whatever cultural background, but whatever religion. After all, we are one family under God. Thank you very much.
I couldn't help but give her a hug with all that passion. Boy, isn't she great? Julia, thank you so much for reminding us to be grateful, to be humble, to be servants, and also, most importantly, God is lending us these talents. We only have a certain amount of days here on earth to do good works, and we don't know when our days will be up. So He's lending us to use our talents to help others for His glory. So thank you so much for that wonderful message. Now at this time, it's with great anticipation that I once again would like to introduce the Honorable Hajia Amina Namadi Sambo. And since I already read her very esteemed bio, I won't go through everything. I'll just say that she's going to tell a little bit more about her passion towards an ethic of compassion and cooperation and women in leadership. So we thank you, we welcome you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the two speakers that preceded before me for their excellent and explicit speech. My task is quite simple, it's just to give my own view politically on the theme of this Global Women Convention. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure again to meet and interact with you after the fruitful sessions in Abuja during the Global Peace Foundation Conference and the plenary session earlier today. This session is a special one in the sense that we are discussing issues that are pertinent to the unity and continuous interactions between different families, communities, and nations, so as to further promote sustainable peace. This forum is timely, and I appreciate the opportunity granted to me and my delegation to listen to experts and also speak on the role of women in peace building through our natural abilities. I believe, therefore, that our convergence here today is to further voice out, aggregate, and exhibit the various roles that women keep playing and should play as major stakeholders in entrenching the habit of caring for others and supporting one another. That is showing their compassion. As women, we are naturally endowed with feelings of empathy for others, which motivates our desire to help. That is what compassion is all about. Therefore, the theme for this evening's discussion, which is towards an ethic of compassion and cooperation, is natural to us women. All we need to do is to discuss how to channel our attributes or qualities to foster cooperation among the diverse people of the world and introduce a new paradigm of peace. Women have done it before, and in many parts of the world, we can and must do it again. This time to make it a universal tool that will be handy at all times. Mother Teresa of blessed memory once said, and I quote, "If we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other." End of quote. The family is the basic tool for peace. Here, she means cooperation or supporting one another is fundamental to peace. If we are there for one another at all times, it becomes an ethic and it becomes an habit. The role of women in peace building has attracted international attention over the years. it appears there is a widespread rationalization that there cannot be a more peaceful world without women. They should be allowed to participate in peace building and conflict resolution. International instruments, including the UN Security Council resolutions 1325, 1820, 1888, and 1889 have mandated women's active participation and involvement in peace and security at all levels and sectors, both formal and informal. The United Nations Security Resolution 1325, unanimously adopted in October 2000, acknowledged that civilians, particularly women and children, are mostly the victims of armed conflict and recommended mainstreaming of gender perspective into peacekeeping operations. Towards realizing this, the resolution called for institutionalization, the participation of women in peace building and the reconstruction. According to the 2002 Uniform Report entitled Women, War and Peace, peace agreements and reconstruction work are better when women are involved in the building process. The report argued that bringing women to the peace table improves the quality of agreements reached, and it enhances the chances that they will be implemented. However, the report emphasized that women's participation in peace building to be effective, a critical mass of women was needed rather than representation, hence a minimum of 30% was recommended. A society that neglects the contribution of its women folk in all aspects of life, including peace building and conflict resolution, slows down its development. And I'm quite sure you have seen women are being challenged to hold key positions in governance, and when given the chance, they perform much more better than their male counterparts. I guess it's a support, it's a fact. A society that neglects the contribution of its women folk in all aspects of life, including peace building, slows down. I'm repeating that. The traditional belief that the place of the woman is only in the home front, playing multiple roles as a housewife, mother, and caregiver, is a hindrance to women's participation in development, in governance, and in peace building. If the woman is excluded from decision-making in the family or in the society, her voice cannot be heard. Unfortunately, while women are performing their multiple roles at home or in the public life where that is allowed, men through their activities deliberately or inadvertently minimize peace or create crises with women and children as the greatest casualties. Another barrier to women's participation in peace building is the twin problem of poverty and inequality. Women already have a heavy workload occasioned by their homework and sometimes outside the home to generate income. Thus, they hardly had time to get involved in peacekeeping and conflict resolution. Here I want to say that women should complement the men. We are not saying women should stay out of the home completely. They have a God-given role to be mothers, and I think it's the most important role ever in the world, to be a woman and to be a mother. So we cannot neglect the home front. It is a duty on us to see that we have a happy and healthy family. So the men, we are not saying will take over. Needless to say, that over the years, events have shown that men's efforts at building peace are inadequate. It has been observed that in cases where women are not included in making initiative. That is, in taking decisions. We want women to be on the table when decisions are taken. They need to contribute, and they will see to it that it is being implemented, because that is the greatest sign of being a compassionate woman. Therefore, it behoves on our governments and people to allow women to come out of the obscure positions that tradition and discriminatory policies have relegated them to, and begin to use their God-given potentials to wage peace as against war and conflicts that we see in different parts of the world today is not what we like. Women are, as mothers of all, will usually take care of the interests of everybody, are more likely to rise above selfish interests. Therefore, for sustainable peace, both men and women should be included in peace building. That is what I'm saying. We are not selfish. We want to come together. The 14-year, I want to share this with you. This is a fact, and I hope the women that are here will go back to their countries and implement or see to it that they support this change. This is what happened in Liberia. The 14-year-old war in Liberia was brought to an end with the active participation of Liberian women, whose actions led to an agreement during the salt peace talks in Ghana. They sat outside the presidential palace, blocking all doors and windows, and preventing anyone from leaving the venue until there was a resolution. Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace first started with thousands of Liberian women. They were praying and singing in a fish market daily. This is to say that prayers is an essential factor for peace. They pray, they dance, they sing. I'm quite aware that, you know, most African women like to sing and dance. And when they sing songs that have meaning and will be sending messages. And that really helped the resolution to take place in Liberia. Their protest was non-violent. Women do not like violence. And actually credited with putting pressure on the former president, Charles Taylor, to attend the eventual peace talks in Ghana, thanks to the women of Liberia. That was women's power in action. Yes. I know you believe in that. And it is a good example to emulate. It has been said, essentially, if there is going to be a peace negotiated well in this world, women have to be at the table. I cannot disagree with the statement. Since the importance of women in building sustainable peace in the world can no longer be overlooked, it is necessary for the society to create an enabling environment in the family and society for women to be able to perform their roles as natural peace builders and peacemakers. Peace starts from ourselves. If we have inner peace, we will inculcate our children to be peaceful. We will advocate for peace with our neighbors, the community, and eventually the nation. And what we're doing now is we are advocating globally. Meetings are held in places of worship and at other fora by women as mothers, wives, and sisters, appealing to their children, their husbands, and brothers to embrace peace. This is something also we have been doing in our nation, where we believe places of worship are places for change. And so we believe the message will go there. Part of the objectives of my NGO, I Care Women and Youth Initiative, is to mobilize and increase women's participation in decision-making from family unit to the larger society. I believe that God has endowed women with unique qualities that are needed for peace building. Women are more honest, more forthright, more empathetic, calmer, more patient, and very compassionate. These are unique qualities that facilitate peace building and conflict resolution. IKEA Women and Youth Initiation has been working with women in local communities in northern Nigeria to work for peace in their homes and in their communities, knowing that the family is the nucleus of the society. Countries should include in their national constitutions the affirmative action principle that will ensure in particular that a critical mass of women are in their parliaments. And I want to thank our president, Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan, for being a gender-friendly president. We have a lot of women in his cabinets and they are holding key positions. We have Minister of Petroleum, Minister of Aviation, Minister of IT, and a lot of them. So we want to thank him. And we once had a Minister of Education who was just recently removed. Economic empowerment of women is key to ensuring their greater participation in peace building and conflict resolution. It is believed that women who are more likely to utilize their resources for the family rather than for their personal benefit. We believe if a woman is economically empowered, she will support the family more than the men. We want to thank the men. We know a lot of them do support us. We are not saying they are not doing well. But due to the compassionate nature of women, all we get is either for our children, our husbands, or our immediate family. So that is why IKEA Women Initiation has taken the bull by the horn to see that we empower women by giving them enough skills, by supporting them with grants and funds to start up small businesses and to be self-reliant. The world cannot continue to undervalue and underutilize the contributions of women to the global peace. Sustainable peace building can be achieved in the natural abilities of women. We are appreciated, encouraged, and exploited by the society sometimes. Women are important stakeholders in ensuring that peace reigns in the world. We cannot afford to be bystanders. We must become peace activists. We must work in compassion and cooperate wherever we find ourselves to make significant impact in achieving sustainable peace in the world, starting from ourselves, just like I said, and our homes. In conflict situations, the actors and the combatants are usually our husbands, fathers, our children, and other relations. And we are the most negatively affected. We therefore cannot afford to keep quiet. As said by the Irish political philosopher Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing, good women to do something. Great things start small, so goes the saying. We should not look at our number in this room. We should rather look at what impact each one of us can make to advance this cause in our countries from what we are learning today. We should promote the slogan, one family, under God. Love and compassion, according to Dalai Lama, are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. We should therefore not allow humanity to suffer. We have to explore ways of impacting the ideas of compassion and cooperation to people we come across. Like I did during the Global Peace Leadership Conference in our country, I will depart with this quotation, one by Robert Fulham. Peace is not something you wish for. It is something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away. I would also like to narrate this hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, when he said, "Be like the bee. Anything it eats is clean. Anything it drops is sweet. And the branch it sits on does not break. May Allah make us as compassionate as the bee. May we live in a clean, sweet, and harmless world. I thank you most sincerely.
Wow, what a team she makes with her husband. You can see why he is the vice president of Nigeria. They make a very powerful team, and I'd like to see women that work side by side with their husbands. And that's a whole nother topic maybe for next year, because as I look around this room, there's many women I know that are in this room that are part of GPW and GPC, and we are very strong partners with our husbands. And we attend these meetings together, and it's so very important to work as a team. Thank you for reminding us that as women, we cannot afford to be bystanders. We have to get involved. For those of you that are young women, I hope you found this a passionate call to go out there and to find a peace-building vocation. What impact can you make in your country? Our next speaker is someone I know very well. I've been involved in these peace conferences or conventions since their inception, my husband and I both. And so I'm very honored to introduce the Honorable Gina De Venezia. She is the founder of 4 national welfare institutions for the shelter and support of abused women, street children, senior citizens, and disadvantaged orphan mothers. She helped establish the Women's Desk in all police precincts nationwide to handle children's and gender-sensitive cases. She serves in the 15th Congress of the Philippines and as a president of the Association of Women Legislators Foundation. She is married to Jose De Venezia, former Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Philippines. Please, a very warm welcome from my friend, Gina De Venezia.
Thank you very much to our beautiful moderator, Donna Schuler. Let me greet my co-panelist, Her Excellency Hajia Amina Namadi Sambo, Madam Julia Maciel, Tansri Dr. Rafia Salim, Mrs. Colette Caprara, and the beautiful wife of Mr. Hyun Jin Moon. She looks like a Korean actress, Dr. Jun Suk Moon. Other distinguished guests, Salamat Tengah Hari, good afternoon. Allow me to start by sharing the interesting observation of the Dalai Lama on women as leaders. In his candid television interview in England on April this year, he weighed in on the debate around women leadership and came out firmly on our side. During the discussion, he said that he'd be pleased if his successor was a woman. The crisis of suffering and inequality in the world, he said, requires a compassionate approach to leadership. And in that respect, females have more potential.
That's right.
Because we have more sensitivity about others' well-being. In line with his pronouncement, I'm very pleased that this Global Peace Conference is being held here in the wonderful country, which I consider as a cradle of women leaders with distinguished ethic of compassion, like the indomitable Zaina Anwar, who transformed the Sisters of Islam into a global voice for advancing Islamic women's rights, the spirited Marina Mahathir, daughter of former Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, who was one of Asia's leading voices in fighting AIDS and discrimination based on sexual orientation, and the kind-hearted Mother Mangalam Iyashwami Iyer of Pure Life Society, whose giving spirit and devotion to serving the orphans and the less fortunate epitomized the benevolence of Blessed Teresa of Calcutta. Similar to Malaysia, my country, the Philippines, is also home to exceptional women leaders who are dedicated in the promotion of peace and upholding the dignity of humankind. Leading the roster was the late Corazon Aquino, an icon of democracy, who showed the world that toppling a dictatorship can be humane and bloodless. The phenomenal triumph of the so-called People Power Revolution led by former President Aquino did not only help in rebuilding our nation, but in a way also transform the identity of Filipino women. Thus far, we've had 2 women presidents, and women are similarly well represented in our local governments in both houses of Congress. As president of the 79-member Association of Women Legislators, I say that we are achieving a sense of balance with our men folks through active participation in the passage of laws that range from gender equality issues to preservation of our country's democratic institutions. The role of women in my country is largely based on the context of Filipino culture that is focused on the community, with the family as the main unit of society. It is in this framework that hierarchical structure where women find respect, because in this setting, the mother, who by tradition reigns as the heart of the family, enjoys a greater share of equality. Ironically, our strength is also our weakness, because women who chose to dedicate their lives in serving their family are also the most vulnerable to abuse, because they have no source of income. The sad plight of abused women moved me to build a national charitable institution called the Haven for Women in 1995, when I was president of the Congressional Spouses Foundation, Inc. My husband, Joe De Venecia, was the Speaker of the House in the Philippines at that time. It is a 16-building rehabilitation complex for women who had been raped and victimized by domestic violence, incest, forced prostitution, and illegal recruitment. It has 15 regional havens all over our archipelago to reach out to the abused women in the countryside, the first of their kind in Southeast Asia, which then U.S. First Lady Hillary Clinton acknowledged when she was in Manila. Today, they stand as the bastion for the protection of abused women in my country, with over 25,000 clients since its founding 18 years ago. I mention this to underscore the importance of our session on women in leadership, with the theme toward an ethic of compassion and cooperation, because I can only relate in terms of my experience at the Haven and of the damaged souls we've been trying to help. Recognizing the vital role of women in ensuring the integrity of the family, the Philippine Congress has enacted a comprehensive human rights law called the Magna Carta of Women that seeks to eliminate discrimination by recognizing, protecting, and fulfilling the rights of Filipino women. Among its provision is the assurance that 5% of annual budgets of government agencies is automatically appropriated for women empowerment, which is perhaps unique in the world, although only partially implemented for lack of funds. The impact of this law was reflected in the Global Gender Gap Report released 2 months ago by the World Economic Forum that said the Philippines is the best performer within the Asia-Pacific region when it comes to gender equality. My country has likewise improved its global ranking to 5th place among 136 countries in terms of the ability to close the gender gap in 4 key areas: economic equality, political participation, health and survival, and educational attainment. I'm happy to learn that Malaysia has its own Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, in line with your country's commitment to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. In the spirit of mutual cooperation, I'd like to share with you some of the landmark laws that women lawmakers in the Philippines helped pass to realize a peaceful and productive world for women and children. These are the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act that recognizes the need to protect the family and its members from violence and threats to their personal security, the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act, acknowledging the fact that women are the #1 victims of human trafficking, the Women in Development and Nations Building Act that promotes the integration of women as equal partners of men in nation building, the Anti-Rape Law that declares rape as a public crime, the Solo Parent Welfare Act that provides benefits and privileges to solo parents and their children, an act strengthening the prohibition on discrimination against women with respect to terms and conditions of employment, and an act providing assistance to women engaging in micro and cottage business enterprises. As co-builders of our nation, we, the women of Asia, must stand up for peace and basic rights, and together bind all of humankind in a global community of true love beyond nationality, beyond religion, beyond ethnicity or culture. Let us join hands and continue to embrace these challenges to make the Asian region an even safer place. Lastly, I extend my sincere gratitude to the leadership of the Global Peace Convention, Dr. Hyun Jin Moon, our host, the Honorable Tan Sri Datin Paduka Seri Heji, and the stakeholders who invested their time and efforts to make this event a rousing success, and to Mrs. Juksun Moon, who is our honorable host, the honored host in our meeting today. Moreover, I thank the host country, Malaysia, for your outstanding hospitality. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Colette Clara, and she is an editor at the DeVos Center for Religion and Civil Society of the Heritage Foundation since 2001. Colette served for 10 years as a writer and editor at Bob Woodson's National Center for Neighborhood Enterprise and The World and I magazine, a publication of the Washington Times Corporation. Her specialty is the importance of family and community structures to a vital civil society and an empowerment-based approach to poverty that recognizes and builds capacity of low-income persons, supporting upward mobility and self-sufficiency. Please welcome Mrs. Colette Caprera.
It's okay. Well, I wanted to extend my thanks to Dr. Moon, to Donna, to our panelists, and to all you who are members of the Global Peace Women. You know, I woke up this morning and I was thinking, there's so many groups, especially now in this era, that are trying to boost women's rights and the profile of women in the world. And a unique point with this panel, I think, is that it's related to family, because that's really one of the key roles women play, and family for world peace is the cornerstone, I believe. I've been an advocate of the belief that the family is really your first school of love and your first school of relationship. The kind of heart that parents have for their children, just unconditional love, willingness to sacrifice, the heart that children have for their parents is total trust and respect, and that siblings have for each other, you know, authentic concern and mutual support for each other. If you extend that past the family to a larger level, or even in society, that's the fundamental basis for every relationship you're ever going to enter into. So what you carry from your family goes on. And the role of women, and I want to say that my group that I work with, the DeVos Center, was created to support and highlight the role of families and religion in society and the world. So they send their congratulations to you and their greetings to you too. With the family being the cornerstone and the woman, mother, wife, being one anchor of that cornerstone. She plays a very unique role in instilling all those qualities that I just talked about of those relationships. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the woman's unique role in the family. Why the family, it's under attack now and really needs to be recognized and supported and promoted. And then what the DeVos Center's done, a tool they've developed that hopefully other people can use too, to promote and preserve and highlight the value of the family. Taken from data in this tool that I said that the DeVos Center developed, here are a few assets that the mother brings to the family. Mothers play a unique and critical role in their children's development and their prospects for the future. Their care and concern impacts every aspect of their children's lives. So it impacts academic success in psycho and emotional development, their health, their behavior, and all of these play a role not only in the trajectory that the children take, but also how they deal with society and how they impact society. The sensitivity that mom brings to interaction with her children, even from the time they're babies through preschool, is a strong, these are from data, from study, and consistent predictor of the social skills and behavior that they're going to have in the future. And mother's involvement, likewise, is related to less hyperactivity in children. And when kindergartners who have a positive relationship with their mother, when they're just little, they're likely to have less behavioral problems and have greater academic achievement in their middle school years. So the behavior and social benefits of mother's care continue even through the teen years, simply if they just ask about how their children are doing and are their interests and spend free time with them. There's a decreased likelihood that teens will have behavioral problems. And youths that feel a close bond with their mother are less likely to engage in violence. And even having family dinners lowers the risk that youths will get involved with substance abuse. Then in terms of cognitive developments, if mothers read to their kids, they score higher on cognitive development. Adolescents whose mothers are highly responsive and willing for them to help them with problems have higher academic achievement. They're more likely to graduate from high school. All those things go from maternal investment and mother's love, have this impact throughout their children's lives, the children's future, and for the families that they're going to form in the future too. So the benefit of a mother's nurturing increases the child's likelihood of success, and taken on the largest level, these kind of values instilled by mothers form a foundation for even a world of collaboration, understanding, and the word that's been around so much today, empathy, and the likelihood then of world peace. So there's a need now to promote and protect healthy families. Especially in the West, and especially in countries that have experienced prosperity, there is a skyrocketing rate of cohabitation and a steadily falling rate of marriage, and these really spell trouble for the West, all these countries that are undergoing these problems. Since 1960 in the United States, the rate of cohabiting couples has gone from 450,000 to more than 7.5 million. And the sad thing is a lot of these kids start cohabiting together. They think if they get to know each other, that's going to help them to avoid divorce and to have more solid relationships. But these same studies show those relationships are more vulnerable. They have less quality in the relationship, more likelihood of splitting up, less likelihood of getting back together if they do split up, and if they even do get married after cohabitating, cohabiting, there's a greater likelihood those marriages will fail. So that's a real danger sign. At the same time, then, there's a reluctance, actually skyrocketing divorce kind of about 2 decades ago triggered this kind of fear of commitment. So we'll live together, but we won't marry, or maybe I won't get married. So especially in the West, the age at first marriage is going higher and higher and higher. People are older and older if they do marry at all. And actually, studies released now show that the age of first marriage is above the age of first childbirth, and that translates into a lot of out-of-wedlock births. Actually, in the United States, the rate of out-of-wedlock births is 40%. And among some ethnic groups, it's as high as over 70. Over 7 out of 10 kids are born without fathers in the home. So there's a real need to protect families. The problem is people who see the danger and try to raise the flag sometimes are silenced because people say it's just a values debate. Those are the values people talking, and we have different values, and there's not much headway you can reach when it's just a conflict of people saying, I believe this and I believe that. But all those statistics that I read, even about a mother's investment, and the statistics about a 2-parent family and how well kids do in a 2-parent family compared to any other family type is uncontestable. They do better academically, they do better in terms of social behaviors, psychological and physical well-being. So the people at my divorce center realized there is all this information out there, the 2 decades of research with all this findings, but somehow it's not getting out there. So we decided we were going to have a database. It's called Family Facts database, and we went to work and reviewed thousands and thousands of academic studies and came out with 3,000 findings. Then we realized the findings, a lot of them were in academic jargon, like sociological words that people would understand. So we wrote them all down and put them in our database, and then we translated them into the way that people really think and communicate, and put the lay language paraphrase with them. But then we realized, whoa, if they come on and try to call up a search, there's 3,000 findings coming at them. We have to package them in ways that people can understand. So we came up with 4 different products. One is the Family Facts Brief. This would be the last kind of slide with Family Facts on there. Oh yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's where you are is good. Where you are is good. If you see here, there's briefs. And for instance, if you wanted to click that top brief on family, it should call it up. It'll give top 10 findings on what the father brings to the family. So people in a nutshell, whether they're politicians trying to form or argue for legislation, or if it's just a group, a neighborhood group trying to make the point, they have they're armed with these Family Facts briefs. Then if you back up, we have those charts too. All these translated those Family Facts findings into charts. So at a glance, you can see what's happening with the marriage rates, what's happening with the cohabitation rates, what's happening with out-of-wedlock births, and it makes it very starkly clear. Another is the reports. They're a longer kind of version of their in-depth analysis of some of the findings. And the last things are these videos. Because this is a society that's very influenced by readily available and kind of emotive things too. So for instance, this family gets an A+, talks about the impact of parents' involvement on kids' academic success. And if it plays, you could it's just like less than a minute, I think, of a video. Just to give you a flavor. Ta-da. So that's it, just to show you how that information can work for you and how women's role in the family and the women's role in world peace. We hope this tool can be useful for you, and although a lot of these findings are for the West and for America, we hope it can be a model for other countries to use as well. And I thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you for all those facts. Those are really important things to know, and I'm sure, and I know that we all have these sort of facts that in our own countries, and it's pretty scary, really, if you think about the breakdown of the family and how important, and also a very good reminder of how important it is that we're here doing this work. Now at this time, I just would love to introduce our last and also our just most anticipated speaker this evening. If not for her, we would not have a Global Peace Women's Division, which she started 2 years ago. Dr. Hyun Jin Moon is the chairman of Global Peace Women, and she earned her bachelor's and master's degree from the Juilliard School and an honorary doctorate from the Unification Theological Seminary. In addition to being the mother of 9 children, yes, 9, can't tell by looking at her, she's very fit. She has been active in humanitarian and educational efforts, including Service for Peace, North Korean Housing and Furnace Relief Project, the Multicultural Family Support Center, and other international relief projects. She is the co-founder, together with her husband. You hear that? This is about partnership, creating partnerships. She's the co-founder, together with her husband, Dr. Hyun Jin Moon, of the Global Peace Foundation. Please will you give a very warm welcome to Dr. Hyun Jin Moon.
Your Excellencies, honorable guests, women leaders from around the world, ladies and gentlemen, and I really want to thank all the gentlemen who are gathered here. Thank you very much for coming. A couple of years ago when we started out first this women's session, there was no man in the room. But every year, I see more men attending. I don't know why, but they start to come. And then this year, I think about 1/3 of the room is occupied by men. So thank you very much. Salam Sazatra. Good afternoon. Today, we mourn the passing of a great leader from South Africa, Nelson Mandela, who was not only a political leader, but a spiritual leader, from whom we can learn much about forgiveness and service. I also see many representatives here with us from our neighboring country, the Philippines. I would like to take a moment of silence to send our prayers to the families and communities that are recovering from devastation caused by Typhoon Haiyan Yolanda. Our hearts goes out in solidarity to the women who are sustaining recovery efforts. We are with each of you as you rebuild your nation to emerge even stronger. Bangon Pilipinas, Kaya Natito. We know your spirit will never be defeated. Can we observe a moment of silence for the Philippines and also for Nelson Mandela? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing group of men, women, young people gathered from around the world for this 5th Global Peace Convention. The moment could not be more timely, nor the place more fitting for this year's convention theme, Unity in Diversity, building social cohesion for sustainable peace through universal aspirations, principles, and values than Malaysia today. Malaysia has been pioneering a path towards social cohesion and harmony amongst the many faiths, cultures, and ethnicities who call this nation home. While faith and cultural differences have often been at the heart of conflicts around the world, Malaysia is trying to create a tangible precedent of interreligious, intercultural, and international cooperation based on common aspirations for the betterment of the greater community, nation, region, and world. I believe peace, harmony, and unity are the essence of the Malaysian spirit. I was inspired by your custom of Rumah Terbuka, that means open house, during the cultural celebrations and holidays of your many faith traditions. Malaysians open their house to welcome any person as a valued member of their family, no matter their belief or ethnicity. It is a moving example of the most devout practice of faith to make one's holiday a time to embrace and serve the human family. I would like to thank the people of Malaysia for the Rumah Terbuka that they have created for this Global Peace Convention. You have embraced us from all over the world, from many faiths and ethnicities, as part of your family. Thank you. The task before us for the short time we have together is critical. I know that Malaysia is not the only nation looking for real solutions for creating lasting social cohesion and harmony. In this room, each of us are seeking to address similar challenges in our nations and religion. This convention is our opportunity to open new paths for better tomorrow. As I reflect on the goals of unity, appreciation of diversity, and social cohesion, based on universal principles and values, I know with certainty that none of this can be accomplished unless women play a central role. These goals resonate deeply within the precious role women play in our families, communities, nations, and world, and bring into play the characteristics and strength of women as mediators, healers, and communicators in all facets of society. In the family, the most essential unit of society, women are the daughter, sister, wife, mother, and grandmother. As a girl grows up, she grows not just in physical strength or intellectual ability, but also she grows her heart. Within the family, she receives and gives love, and she deepens and widens her ability to understand others as she passes through each stage. Mothers nurture and raise the next generation as they model and educate children in living a life of service and love for others. The grandmother is often the person who can be the confidant of every person in the household because her heart is big enough to relate to every different situation. The family is thus the school of love, and its graduates will form the basis of vibrant communities and stable nations. They will be the responsible citizens and the moral and innovative leaders of tomorrow. Without instilling such a moral and spiritual foundation within the family, nurtured largely by women, the vision of one family under God will remain an idealistic dream. To give substance to this vision calls for leadership that is both moral and innovative, that takes ownership of the vision and strive to make it a reality. Leadership takes many forms, and many women today are playing important roles in public life. But in the emphasis on careers for women, we sometimes forget the unique and essential role that women play that is equally an act of leadership. That role is the formation of qualities of character and habits of the heart within the family. The ability of women to perceive the intangible aspects of life, the unspoken emotions, the characters of each person, the spiritual dimension is part of what equips us uniquely for the work of building peace. As many people have observed, peace doesn't come by force, and it doesn't happen by just signing papers. Peace is a state of heart that is manifested into action. Peace ultimately comes from putting the benefits of all others first, and then receiving the benefit into one's own life. This role of responsibility and heart expands as women takes role in the larger society, whether it is as administrators and teachers in schools, community organizers and peace advocates, or leaders in politics, businesses, or faith communities. We have examples of the great women of GPW playing these roles all around the world. 1 year ago, here in Malaysia, 300 women gathered for a grand launching of the Malaysia chapter of GPW. It was said that women have a natural sense of nurturing, solving conflicts with compassion, tolerance, and tenderheartedness, which can offer a lot more toward the betterment of our society. The women and organizations present pledged to work together to empower women to contribute to peace in areas such as women's rights, women's leadership, strengthening of the family, and community service. In Indonesia, Global Peace Women helped flood victims and enlisted college students to serve residents of a home for the elderly. They have hosted parenting trainings for top public officials. Our women leaders from Indonesia have joined us at this convention. In Nepal, GPW has organized projects to safeguard the water supply and begun to provide clean cook stove for mothers. The cook stove project has also been working in Uganda, teaching women to construct clay cook stove from local materials, eliminating indoor pollution and reducing the need to gather fuel. Since half the population of the world cook over open fires, this one project has the potential to transform the lives of billions. The workshop tomorrow will feature this project, and I hope you will give it your interest and support. In the Philippines, GPW has been active with the solar-powered lanterns and street lights of the All Lights Village project, and most recently, with the rebuilding and relief work following the destruction of Typhoon Haiyan, Yolanda. Many women leaders working in the Philippines are also present with us. us here today. In Nigeria, the wife of the Vice President, Hajiya Amina Namadi Sambo, launched our newest national chapter, Global Peace Women Nigeria, at the recent Global Peace Leadership Conference in Abuja. We are graced with her attendance and her words today. Thank you. In Kenya, GPW helps encourage moral and ethical character development for youth in schools throughout the country. Professor Leah Marungo is receiving this year's Global Peace Award for strengthening families for her pioneering work in this area. In Latin America, nations such as Uruguay and Paraguay, Global Peace Women have been working, addressing the issues of family breakdown. In Taiwan, Global Peace Women have been active in sponsoring global child peace clubs, creating libraries and youth empowerment projects. In Korea, Global Peace Women have played a key role in supporting the All Lives Village project. I hope you will take the chance to connect and share with each other throughout the duration of this convention. I want to thank all the women of peace who are bringing the vision of one family under God into their communities and nations. From these examples of what women are capable of and the passion and heart they bring to the table, I think we're all in agreement that women are natural bridge builders and a critical part of the peacemaking process. I believe that is what has drawn us all here today. I want to use the opportunity of this annual convening of women leaders to pull together our talents, professions, and projects under a unified theme that I hope will guide the coming year. We can find the theme in the title of this session, Women in Leadership Toward an Ethic of Compassion and Cooperation. I believe these two elements, compassion and cooperation, reflect the nature of our Creator and His culture of love and service to others. In order to achieve global peace, we need a vision that encompasses the aspirations of the human heart and finds expression in universal principles and shared values that bear fruit in qualities of character. GPW is connecting and encouraging women who are already active to a larger network of women who share such a common aspiration. The vision of one family under God has become the foundation for partnerships and cooperation in practical service projects that are making this vision a concrete reality. I hope that the collective efforts of our grassroots network worldwide will result in a cultural shift, transforming a culture of self-centered values, conflict and division into one of compassion and cooperation. Thank you for bringing your expertise and experience to grow this body of knowledge. It is both hard-earned and invaluable. I sincerely hope that you will gain substantially by hearing from each of our speakers, but also by sharing with each other in the informal moments as well. Every moment of our short time together is very precious. I thank you for being here and for all the work that you are doing to build peace in your homes, your communities, and your nations. My father-in-law used to say that women are like water, flowing into those in between spaces, finding ways into every crevice and fissure, to soften hardened hearts and smooth rough edges. The hearts of women united together can create a tidal wave, sweeping away the mightiest obstacles. I hope that when you leave here for your homes, you will do so with renewed energy and with a firm conviction that the work you're doing is one brick in the building of a great vision that can bring peace to the world across all existing boundaries. I ask you to join together with me, dream together with me, and build together with me. Let the world witness the transformative power of women for peace. Before I leave, I'd like to say a word to all the gentlemen who gather here. When you talk about peace, the true peace starts from home, and it starts from husband and wife. So when you go back, you show how much you appreciate your wife, and tell her you love her. Because you know what? If you make your wife happy, not only she's going to become a great wife, but she's going to be a great mother. Because happy women makes a great mother. And I like to also say something to women. Please appreciate your husband. Love him. Tell him you love him. You really appreciate the efforts that he does for his home and his children. That will give him strength to do better when he goes out. So when we all do that as a husband and wife, that is going to be the greatest start to make a peace. And eventually it's going to bring the peace all around the world. So thank you again for coming today. We really appreciate all the speakers today for their great words and wisdom. And when we go back home, let's try to build one family under God. Thank you so much.
I'm sure most of you have noticed we went way over this evening, so we're going to skip our question and answer, and we are going to be having a photograph, so please don't leave. We'll have a group photo. We're going to be taking it right away, so stay in your seats. Okay, so those are my instructions. Stay in your seats, please, and thank you so much to our chairwoman for a wonderful, wonderful talk. And again, you can see just why the Global Peace Foundation is so very successful. It's because of this amazing woman that our chairman has at his side. We thank you all for coming. So again, stay in your seats, and I think we're going to have a photo now.